Welcome to LeFilmNation. Our podcast is about filming, business, and gear. On today's episode, we're going to discuss how to start making money with video today. It's going to be a really good one. Let's get started. Welcome back. My name is Nigel, and I'm a videographer and filmmaker based in Fukuoka, Japan. And John?
Hey, I'm John Bear. I'm a YouTube filmmaker. And William.
I'm William. I'm a photographer and videographer in Fukuoka, Japan.
All right. Thanks, guys. So today, John's going to be taking the lead, and it's all about how to make money with video. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. I like
today.
That. Today.
I like the sound of that.
Ooh. And we're going to talk about not just how to make money, but like assuming you start from nothing. Like if you have nothing, you got no skills, you got no gear. Where would you go to make money with video? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. So we have a few talking points here, and let's just jump right into it.
Sure.
So the first one is how to start right now without gear or skills. So we'll look at learning resources first.
Okay.
You guys have any suggestions for learning resources?
Well, YouTube.
YouTube is huge, right?
That's my first thought. Yeah.
I mean, even me, I'm creating tutorials on YouTube right now for Premiere Pro and different just camera techniques and stuff like that. But in general, like if you're beginning and you want to start making money today, I think YouTube would be a little disjointed. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's true.
To be fair, you can find anything on YouTube, but it's going to take some more searching to sort of make it all coherent, I think.
Digging around. Yeah. And the more beginner you are, the less you know what you have to learn. So,
Right, exactly. You're right. So this is where something like a video course can streamline the learning process and really put you in the right direction of what's important to focus on right now.
Because like in with the whole YouTube thing, people go to film school and then they learn, at film school how to make short movies, and the teacher teaches you every aspect of filmmaking. But when it comes to YouTube, you have to put the time in because you want to learn how to do narrative and drones and all these different things. So you have to sit there and type in, how to fly a drone or how to make a movie, how to do this. Yeah. So you really have to go full force into it and really want to learn.
And you don't know what topics you need to learn by yourself. Yeah. You might focus too much on one thing or another. And
I mean, there's so many aspects of filmmaking, right? So it's very tough which way you're going, right? So
I have a very good example of that. It's like with YouTube, the way the ecosystem works is that people will create video tutorials for stuff that's like sexy, that people want to click on. But learning to use proper lighting is not usually something very clickable or something you will search for first.
Yeah.
And I've learned that the hard way, man. I've been ignoring lighting for a long time. And then when I finally started learning it from a video course, I was like, why wasn't this the first thing that I jumped into?
Yeah.
So that's one of the pitfalls with YouTube, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, there should be a way to just like, if I was to jump in, it would be like, learn the back end of business, how to make invoices and how to do all that, and then maybe start jumping into cameras and then drones and then editing. I don't know, like just like from the very beginning course. I mean, who knows? That would be great for us to make something like that. But I mean, I'm just saying, like if you were to start from the beginning end, all the way to the end, I mean, that would be a huge accomplishment to put something like that together. But
that's maybe something, we might consider in the future.
Yeah, we might.
But as for resources that are available right now, personally, I guess I'll start here. I'll share my screen.
Sure.
One thing that I found really valuable was this course here from Full-Time Filmmaker.
Yeah.
Now, he's been very good with social media. So if you're watching this podcast, there's a chance you've already seen this guy, Parker Walbeck. He's grown his business immensely, and he has a full team of people making videos now. But he released this Full-Time Filmmaker course way back in the day, and it is very basic. It goes from the very first few things you need to learn about making good quality video all the way into how to land a job and how to market yourself and how to make money. So for me, this was like the complete course. Like this taught me so much about basically what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
So I can recommend this wholeheartedly. And the cool thing is as well is that you don't have to buy the full package. You can like sort of segment it down a little bit, as you can see here on my screen right now.
Yeah.
So if, for example, if you're interested in real estate specifically, this is the course you could just jump right into. And then you have like a preview YouTube video for each one, right?
No, that's cool.
So he gives away a lot of content for free. So even if you were not to buy anything, you could just go to the site and really like get ideas of where to go next.
You can get the gist at least.
Yeah. Exactly, the gist.
I took his Final Cut course. It was really good. It was like beginning to end on Final Cut, how he imports and edits. And it was a trip he did in British Columbia, where I'm from. And it was like, you know, the mindset of how he actually edits and stuff. And it was like, wow, he just dropped all of his files on the timeline. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he just went, yeah, here's everything on the timeline. And I like to just chop it. And for me, I don't do that. I go to the top and I choose the segments. And he's like, don't do that. Just drop it in. So different way of editing. I never thought of doing that. So he's got
I remember
a really good
when
course.
I first saw that as well. Yeah, and I've integrated some of that into my personal workflow.
Yeah.
But everybody's a little different, so it's good to get like different perspectives as well, and you develop your own sort of editing style as you go along.
I see. Yeah, personally, I really enjoy Philip Bloom. He is a DP based out of England, and he taught me a lot on filmmaking also. And his course is quite a little, I think it's about the same price. It's around $199, I believe. So
that's cheaper, no?
I think
sorry,
that's
I don't
cheaper.
remember.
It's
Is it cheaper?
Way cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a really interesting way. So what he does is he does lens whacking. And so lens whacking is where he changes the lens and he actually removes it off the base of the camera body. And he starts like actually removing the lens and extending it out of the body. So it's a very interesting style. And then he goes into the basics and then visual storytelling, interviews. Interviews is awesome, man. He really digs deep into interviews and some of the secrets that he does and things like that. And the positioning is really important with interviews, where to sit with the camera over your shoulder and things like that. Asking the right questions in interviews. I learned a lot on that one. So again, that's really good. Slow motion, time lapse, aerial photography. He goes into drones. So that was quite nice. And then he makes an actual story and then post-production in his workflow. So the reviews are absolutely amazing. And I would definitely recommend this course. It was, for me, a big one to learn. So
it seems to me that he also like he chunks it down into little modules as well. So you could just buy the specific one. For example, for me, looking at that list, the one that jumped out to me was interviews.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Parker Walbeck doesn't necessarily cover in his full-time filmmaker one.
Oh, it doesn't.
So that's something that I might check out.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was something that's very specific about interviews, but it was something like ask the right questions, and then if they say it, maybe ask them to re-say it again, but more in a concise, a concise way. Just so do it again, but this time just make it a little bit tighter if you can.
That's a good idea.
So I really like that, where he does.
That's a good idea, because if you ask someone the same question again, they might rephrase. Even if you don't ask them to make it shorter, they will rephrase it because they have had time to think about it. And that's a good.
This is why I love doing these podcasts. I'm learning so much just by talking to you guys.
So it does not teach only the shooting of the interview, but really how to conduct the interview and talk to the person.
Amazing.
That's good.
He also talks about how to stop an interview person from talking too much. And what he does is he actually says, oh, just hold on, I got to look and make sure it's still recording. And he says if you say that, it cuts the person off from talking.
They will
and
get
he said instead of you saying, please stop talking, you just go, hang on, I need to just make sure it's still recording. And he reaches over and he goes, okay, I think that was really good. And I thought that was a really interesting
and then you move on
way.
to the next question.
Yeah, you move on to the next question.
Amazing. That's
a really good technique.
You can't, 25 years of work from him, BBC, all those, big companies. So he knows how to do an interview. So,
So we've talked a little bit about learning resources now.
Yeah.
But the elephant in the room is, what are you going to use to film if you don't have any gear? So again, on this topic, assuming you don't have anything to start with.
Yeah.
You've learned how to edit. What gear should you get? Within a realistic budget, of course.
Yeah.
And I think I'll give it to you, William. I think you have some good pointers for getting some good gear on a realistic budget.
Yeah. So, well, the first thing you need obviously is the camera, I guess. As much as we like to say, oh, lighting is super important. Well, you need to start with the camera probably. And I mean, Blackmagic is still like the best thing you could get, I guess. Maybe it's not a beginner camera. I don't know. It's probably harder to master because you don't have any IBIS, you don't have any autofocus. But it's really like the cheapest option that's gonna give you the best image quality. Like for
Absolutely.
$4,300, like $1,300, that's pretty cheap.
Not only that, but it gives you access to DaVinci as well,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
one of
and
the
software.
and
Yeah,
you
you
have
get the
access to
software.
very good software for editing and
Yeah.
color grading. But I don't know if it's the best. I think it's the best second camera. Like once you already have like a certain level and you just want to take it to the next step without like ruining yourself, right? But I think what you did is even a better approach. Like you just like used a camera that I think
That I had lying around.
your girlfriend's camera,
It was like
it's
a
very
pocket
cheap.
Lumix, wasn't
Yeah,
it? Like
it's a very
little
cheap
pocket
one.
Lumix camera. Yeah, designed for women.
I'll grab it here, just a second.
Okay, I'll actually just while he's moving
Yeah.
away there, John's left us for a while there.
No, he's
I'll
here.
throw
Yeah,
in the
okay.
Lumix G7. The
Yeah, the
Lumix
G7
G7 is around $400.
Wow.
And that's a really
Wow.
good little. And I think it might have stabilization. I might be wrong on that, but
I think maybe
yeah.
not, but
Okay, maybe not.
go on. Yeah.
But for $400, you're in the game. You've got
Yeah.
a 4K camera, so
There
and
you go.
can
Wow.
slap lenses on there. So you could use that for 5 months, 6 months until you start getting some work.
Yeah.
and then you could move up to a Black Magic. But for
Yeah, I think-
$400, $500, you're in the game.
I
so.
think it's the
$400.
best
That's
start.
unbeatable.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
how about yours?
there's a YouTuber called D4 Darius, and he still uses the G7, I think.
Oh, does he? Yeah.
And he
Wow.
actually makes movies. So
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
So the one that I have, it's in a similar category. So this is the Lumix camera that's
Yeah.
marketed to girls. Now the cool thing is it's got a flippy screen.
Ooh, a flipping screen.
Nice.
It's not stabilized.
Oh, okay.
But you see here I have a lens on that is a stabilized lens. So I will use this for making thumbnails or as a B camera occasionally for my YouTube still. But this is what I used for
Yeah.
probably like 18 months or something like that.
Yeah, you
It
and me,
shoots
we were
4K.
always out using that little camera
Yeah.
of yours, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
checking your lenses to make sure they're all nice and clean. I was like, John, clean those lenses, baby, clean those lenses.
That's true, man. I learned so much just shooting with you. So I guess that would be another tip that we can throw into this podcast.
have
is
a
like
mentor.
Find someone else to,
Yeah.
to partner up with.
Yeah,
Learn
if
from
you have
them.
if you can find a mentor in real life, it's the best, like the
Yeah.
fastest way to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
obviously, yeah.
John and I used to go out at the fish market at 7 in the morning. We'd meet at 6:30, and at 7 we'd start filming. We're out in the fish market in Japan filming at 7, gimbals and all these crazy shots, and then we'd sit at a cafe and talk about, our next possible location and stuff. So we were crazy back in those days,
And we didn't even have like an intent of what to do with the footage. We just wanted to go out and film.
Yeah.
It was like a burning need. We just had
Yeah.
to go out and film
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fish market 7 in the morning in Japan, it's a busy place. People are selling the catch of the day. They're haggling, and it's so lively.
Yeah.
You can't not get like exciting footage just going there.
But the cool thing is because I scout located it, I had a rapper guy, Nicky Tall from our previous episode there. And I was like, Nicky, we got to go to the fish market. It's a really cool environment. I got Nicky walking down with the gimbal. He's all walking cool like this, right? And it's an epic shot, right? This Japanese fish market. And he's exploring Fukuoka, Japan. So yeah, it's scout locating is really good because you can remember these spots, when you have like a real paid job. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Back to the camera. So basically, you started with that, John. So that's a very good case of like just using the camera that you had. You didn't even buy it, right? You just kind of borrowed
I
it.
didn't buy it. Yeah, I just kind of borrowed it. But in the end,
it became yours.
yeah, because still it is basically a professional camera. Like it doesn't do everything for you. And so, my girlfriend, she just preferred to use an iPhone and she just never used it anyway.
How much
So
is that camera
why not?
worth? Like, what's the retail of the body? Just the body itself. What do you?
Just the body? I think it's about similar to the G7, probably a little like around $500, something like that.
$500.
Yeah, but the important thing is it has all the functions of a high-end Lumix camera.
That's
Like
good.
it's got interchangeable lenses. So like already you'll start to realize the importance of lens over body.
Yeah.
So, you can already start investing in your lens collection and then, upgrade
Yeah.
your body as you go.
And then when you buy a new camera, you already have all your lenses. So
Yeah. Yeah, just
Exactly.
so
That's
the
really good.
viewers know, Micro Four Thirds, which John has in his hands there, is the same with Black Magic. So
Yeah.
Micro Four Thirds
It's a mount
lenses
system.
will all fit. So if you go low end, like a G7 or what John's got, or like these, lower end micro four thirds cameras, you can start investing in your lenses. And then when you go for something that's like a Black Magic, which is about $1,200, then you could just keep your lenses. You just swap your body out, and you can usually sell the body that you have on online auctions, which I've done, and then I just turn around and sell that camera, like yours, for example, for maybe $150. And I'm like, I put that towards my new camera, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's something to
Exactly.
think about. So you're not throwing
So
away
yeah.
your lenses, guys. You're
So
keeping
start,
these lenses.
So start with a cheap camera, and buy. You're better off like buying a few lenses than just a very good body and a shitty lens at first.
Yeah.
I think that's for me really important.
Well, yeah, I would say even like going vintage. Like there's so many vintage lens options
Yeah, it's true
that,
too.
like for video, honestly, when you're doing video, you don't need all the auto functions. You don't need autofocus. You don't need any of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
but I would
So, like,
still, as a beginner, I would still like get something with IBIS, with the
Maybe, yeah,
stabilization,
yeah, yeah.
because you don't want to have to invest in gimbal and all of that stuff. So it's good to have IBIS at least on the lens.
is
That's a good point.
in-body image
Image
stabilization,
yeah,
for those
so-
who don't know what IBIS is. So I want to throw that
Yeah.
out there.
So either on your camera or your lens, you need some kind of stabilization that's better.
yeah.
And
when you're
another
gonna
thing
be-
you got to throw in
yeah.
is lenses have OIS, which is
Yeah,
what's it
OIS
called?
is OIS is
Yeah.
optical image
Optical. So
stabilization.
if
Yeah.
you
on the
take a
lens.
So this one
OIS
does.
lens and you take an IBS body and you put the two together, you get, I believe, five axis of stabilization.
That's pretty good.
So that's pretty damn
Or
cool.
OIS.
Yeah,
Can you
OIS.
guys
There it
see it?
is.
We see
Yeah,
it.
John, we
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, there
Yep.
it is.
Got a little switch on it.
OIS.
Yeah, it's kinda dark, but yeah.
Just so you know, if you throw an OIS lens on some bodies, like my GH5S, and I pan, it does some weird little jittery things at
okay.
the end of the pan. So you got to be really careful when you're panning your camera there. It'll sometimes do some weird things internally in the footage. So if you have it on a tripod, just turn off OIS. If you're walking around, keep it on. But if you're doing any pan and tilts, just turn off the OIS on your lens. So little tip advice there for you.
Okay, that's good. So what's
So-
next? Like camera and
Yeah. So you got the
Well,
camera.
so we've talked about within realistic budgets,
Yeah.
but there's always the chance that you can rent gear. Like, let's say
Oh.
you're somebody who is, you're faking it till you make it. You manage to land a big job. You can just budget for renting gear, and then that's always an option. So if
Sure.
you have friends that you can team up with, that's huge as well.
Mm.
So honestly, there are many different entry points, I would say. But I guess the most common one would be the one we already covered. Just get a cheap gear,
yeah,
practice with it,
practice with it.
have
That's
fun.
it.
Yeah.
That's the difference
And meet up
because,
with
if it's yours and you have it all the time, you can actually practice with it a lot before your shoot. You just don't rent. I think renting gear for your first job is kind of like,
Yeah.
you'll be
yeah.
there with a camera you don't know, and it's a recipe for disaster. But
Absolutely.
You really
yeah.
should take your camera and literally just film everything you
Yeah.
can in your house, all your
Yeah.
kids, anything,
Yeah.
and just know that camera inside and out. I need to switch to 4K, slow motion. I need to change. And you have to be very quick on your buttons because there's no time when you're in the field. So,
Absolutely.
I'd recommend
lenses on the
buying
other hand is something you can rent. Yeah,
you can
lenses
rent.
you can rent all day
There you
long.
go. Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Just one thing about the renting thing is if you are moving into higher production, then you can bill the customer. So like if you need professional lighting, hey, yeah, you can go and rent. If you need costumes, if you need those things, yeah, you can rent those things if you need them. So it is possible to rent other things than just the camera. So
Yeah.
just want to throw that out there. So
Cool. Now, at the beginning of this podcast, we mentioned making money today. So how are we going to make good on that promise?
That sounds good.
That's a tough one, right? But it's not impossible. So first off, you would have to land your client. Now, there are different ways to get into it. Like you could really just be a hardcore marketing guy that you're just managing to find these people and meet their needs. Or you can try to team up with existing videography companies and see if you can help them out, or at least ghost their projects.
Yeah.
Like try to offer some value to the local communities. And they might want to take you along and teach you the ropes and maybe introduce you to some clients.
Yep. That's a good idea. If you know people that do video already, just offer them to join for free for a day. Look, I'll help you out for a day. Just you teach me the ropes, and I tag along, and then you can say, oh, I've done this job. You didn't really make it, but
Yeah.
you participated, so you get the experience still.
100%.
You got to get your foot in the door. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the key here. You
And
got to literally
maybe,
say yes to everything.
yeah,
Right?
and on
So,
that day, maybe you do a good job, and maybe next time when they need you, they actually pay you instead of you tagging along for free.
Absolutely. So, Nigel, you mentioned getting your foot in the door. Do you have any more suggestions to get your foot in the door? Like something that you could do starting from square one?
just to get your foot in the door into the companies, you mean? Like to get into these places? I've been asked to advise production companies from a foreign perspective. So they wanted me, the job didn't pan out, but they wanted me literally just to go in and help them with a foreign eye. So I thought that was a really interesting way. I've taken a grip job before on a company, and I didn't know how to be a grip. And I told them I don't know how to be a grip, but they said, we don't care. We don't have anybody. And then I went off to Tokyo for a week and I became a grip, and I literally didn't know, everything, all the terminology of all the things that they wanted and stuff. So I told them, I don't know anything, but they taught me ground up how to diffuse lighting and all the different terms and things. So I got really lucky that somebody actually allowed me to work for them. But beyond that, I'm pretty much self-taught. I haven't worked for a lot of companies. I do a lot of my own sort of personal jobs. But, friends of friends of friends would probably be the best thing. It's like the unions, the union work, unions like that. You got to have a friend who gets you in the union. So I think you have to do that.
So that segues pretty well into how I got my start, which was just filming for music concerts. And I have two older brothers, and both of them play music. So I was kind of lucky with that I had someone with an event going on, and they needed somebody to document it, right?
Yeah.
So I would offer my help, and I did some stuff for free, and realized, the hard way, the difficulties of covering a live event.
Yeah.
That's super
But it also
hard,
emboldened
man.
me. Yeah.
You started
But
hard.
exactly. But it really gave me the confidence to go out and try to really market myself. And it would actually give me something to show off and say, hey, this is something that I made.
Yeah.
So that's the first step of getting your foot in the door, is like reach out and do stuff for free. And I've said before, I don't want to do stuff for free, but when you're in the very beginning, it might be the best bet to do, because you need that experience.
Actually,
we said, go ahead. Okay.
You just made me think of something. Actually, there was a time where the Spanish event was here, and they had live concerts, and I literally went up to the desk and I said, I want to film your company for the live event, and I gave him my resume and I gave him a whole bunch of stuff, and then I think about 6 months later, a friend of a friend said they need a videographer for the event. And it was 2 days of filming. It was $150 a day. It wasn't very much. And I worked for 12 hours a day. It was hard work. And I ended up editing the videos, and that turned into work after that. And now I'm doing their videos and stuff. So that was me actually going there in person and just throwing my resume at them, and it actually turned into a job. So there you go. It does work if you cold call at the door, and
if you're persistent, and that's good. That's good. I just wanted to reiterate the point that we made in the previous video about working for free. Like you said, it's like you still have to kind of like discuss the conditions first, like be very clear about what you're gonna do and what you can't do, and the scope, because it's very easy to get taken advantage of when you say, I'm gonna do that for free for you. So just something to keep in mind, right, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've shared my story in the past.
Yeah. So just watch the older video if you want to. I think it was our podcast number 2 or 3, I think.
3 possibly.
I think it was a 3. About pre-production.
Just be really
storyboarding. It was a storyboarding episode.
It was a pretty good episode.
Just be clear how many videos it is, and the length and all that, and
and
don't
the
get
deadline and all of that.
It's 2 videos, it's an A and a B, and this is what it is, and yada yada yada, and it's 10 minutes long. Okay, I got it. Where's the music coming from? All right, we know everything. Cool. So.
And getting your foot in the door, something just came to mind. Something that I did when I was in Japan, I did some social media stuff for a local waffle restaurant called Bell Waffles. And I was brought on to be the social media guy, but I actually did a lot of the photography and the videos for that as well.
That's right.
And it sort of allowed me to create a bit of a portfolio and actually just come in there and film some of the stuff that they have going on, both events and just making of the waffles. So just claw at whatever you can, start making those videos and give value.
You gotta
So
scrape it, man. You gotta scrape it. You gotta
Scrape it.
work hard, man. You gotta give me the work.
but it is so much fun if you can actually make it work.
Yeah.
Then it's
Yep.
worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And I think it helps having YouTube channels and all those, all your media, and you just keep putting that content out there. People will see you out there, man. So, upload you making waffles at home. Just put it out there, man. Do whatever you can, So
Yeah. I mean, this guy Daniel Schiffer, huge guy
Oh,
on
yeah.
YouTube. He's gotten really popular with his like making food style videos.
yeah,
He calls it like pizza B-roll or something like that.
yeah,
And I mean, a lot of it he did by himself, just at his home with his girlfriend. And then that became like his signature style. And then he's brought on to make those types of videos for businesses.
Yeah.
And so you never know what might be your entry point.
You were influenced by him. When I first met, you were like copying Daniel Schiffer. If I remember, you were doing the whole like food, and you were doing all this stuff, and I was like, "What is this?" And you're like, "Oh, this is Daniel Schiffer, man. This is like the coolest stuff." And I didn't like it so much. I was like, "Ooh, I don't like it so close. I want to see the food, and then I want to like go in." But everything was just like warpy close, and that was the trend. That's what he was creating this sort of trend style, and you were emulating it, and you were copying it. You may not do it anymore, but at the time, you were into that style, So
I was a young buck, excited to move my camera.
Yeah.
But I would say
that's
that
how you
now
learn.
I
That's good,
feel, personally, man, now I feel like dialing, like it's good to jump into the exciting stuff with cameras, but then you learn to dial it back a little bit, and like you can create more, I don't know what to call it, but it's just more sort of like viewable content.
Yeah, more
Because like
viewable.
it can't be exciting all the time.
Yeah.
And having tripod shots are so necessary.
Yeah,
Like if you have a video with no tripod shots,
Yeah.
like it's like a relief
Yeah.
when you finally
Well,
get a
it's-
shot that's not moving.
It's about rhythm, basically, right?
Exactly.
Rhythm. Like
That's a good point.
in music, you don't want to have like just a beat drop like the whole way. You need some rise, you need some beat drop, you need some pause, and you need to breathe. So that's just about rhythm. And
Nice.
about that, I have a comment that's you can really spot a very good edit in a video if by turning off the music, you watch it and it still looks good. It still feels well paced. So turn off the music, watch the video, and if you can still like kind of feel the beat of the video, that means it's very well edited. Otherwise, I mean, it's boring or too fast or whatever. That means you didn't.
Nugget of wisdom right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
That's
Ooh,
good.
that's a
I'm gonna
nugget.
use that.
That's a nugget.
It has a nugget. This is why we love doing these. All right. So just to summarize the stuff that we've gone over today, we've talked about from this angle of if you have nothing going into this, like how would you proceed? We started by looking at some of the learning resources. We had a recommendation from Nigel about Philip Bloom's courses, specifically about his interview courses being like absolute bomb. And I mentioned myself the full-time filmmaker course, which honestly, it covers so much that it's probably one of the best bets I would say for anyone getting into this. Like that's a really good course because it just covers everything from like basic camera settings that you just might not even know about. So, I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to admit that until I watched that course, I didn't really know everything about like shutter speed. So watching that course, it was really good, just setting me straight. So that's an example of where watching too many YouTube tutorials, you might get a lot of information, but not on the most fundamental stuff. All right, so after that, we moved on to gear. So what gear can you get on a realistic budget? So we got some input from both you, Nigel, and William. William suggested the Blackmagic as a sort of like middle level. Maybe not the very beginning, but as a good middle level because of the sheer value that you get from buying a Blackmagic. And then we got from Nigel the recommendation of getting a G7 from the Lumix series, which is a $400 camera, which director D4 Darius on YouTube still uses today. So that's an easy way to get into the game, shooting 4K footage for as low as $400. And on top of that, you can use vintage lenses and learn how to use them, as you go. So there are definitely cheap ways to get into it. And then we touched upon what I was using, which is basically like this sort of 4K selfie cam marketed for girls. But in the end, it's sufficient for everything that I was making in the beginning. So gear wise, you can go really cheap if you want to.
For sure.
And finally, we touched upon how to get your foot in the door, getting your first clients. And we talked about how to do stuff for free, how to offer your skills as help to other people. But generally, just go out there, start filming and have fun. And something will stir up.
Exactly.
So I think that's about it. What do you think, Nigel?
Yeah, no, those are really good points that you covered. We had a whole bunch more points, but we're going to just go with that. I think it's awesome. And then I think next week we're going to go into the skills and the gear that you already have and how to start making money from it. So I think that's a really good point. Now you got your camera, now you got to move to the next level, and that's going to be our next podcast. So I think that's a really good another series that we might spin off this. So I like this, man. It's really good. So definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so if you appreciate what we do here on this podcast, we would love it if you could share with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or any other social media outlets. And finally, you can find all this information on www.LeFilmNation.com. All of our links are there for you to enjoy our content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, and peace.
Peace out.